Are we really doing this again? How many of you games were even able to float?
You know what this is about.
I already played you. Enough of you.
What if you never finished it? Let alone talk about it.
I didn't feel like it.
But if you don't, you'll never play the 1,000-Year Door.
And Sticker Star for that matter, so let's fucking keep it that way.
Yeah!
What the fuck? What did you do to me?
Beat the game and talk about it and I'll change you back.
Oh, you sick son of a bitch.
Paper Mario is, naturally, the first entry in the Paper Mario series. I've played through, talked about, and loved the most recent entry, the Origami King on the Nintendo Switch, so I set out to play and talk about the rest of the series, starting with this guy. I was super excited for it, but I ended up being underwhelmed and even disappointed by it. Well, that's fucking tragic.
Alright, let's finish this fucker. But first, I'll lay the groundwork.
Paper Mario was initially being developed as a sequel to Super Mario RPG, the Super Nintendo classic. It was originally called Super Mario RPG 2 when it was revealed at Space World 97. They even tried to get Square Enix to develop the game, but they turned it down to focus on Final Fantasy VII. Now in the past, I incorrectly stated that the game went from being Mario RPG 2 to Paper Mario because the Nintendo 64 wasn't powerful enough, so they made the characters and other sprites 2D. But all of my research, also known as browsing Wikipedia, fails to show any proof of that. In fact, the only thing I can find that explains why it's called Paper Mario is that the sprites are paper-like, because people were getting tired of the polygonal models they'd see on PlayStation.
I don't get it either.
I'll go in depth later on why I think Paper Mario is a dumb name for this game, but regardless, it released in the States in February of 2001, super late in the Nintendo 64's life. Regardless, it did very well, selling over 1 million copies, which is really good for such a late N64 game. And of course, the game has been rolling in the praise for the last 2 decades. Many clamor it as not the best Paper Mario, but the second or even third best depending on your opinion on Super Paper Mario.
So naturally, I was really excited going into the game. I mean, I love the Origami King, but apparently that was jack shit compared to 64. Where do I begin?
How about the story? An opening cutscene fills us in on what we need to know. Bowser has stolen the Star Rod from Star Haven, which he can use to make him invincible. The only ones who can stop that power are the 7 Star Spirits, which are turned into cards and spread across the Mushroom Kingdom, guarded by Bowser's minions. Meanwhile, Mario is invited to Peach's castle and tries to spend some alone time with her, but then, Bowser strikes.
What a fucking surprise.
Bowser then lifts Peach's castle into the sky because his airship was under it. I don't even want to know how he coordinated that. Anyways, Mario tries to fight Bowser, gets punked because Bowser has a Star Rod, and falls down to the Mushroom Kingdom. And from there, the structure turns into a typical Mario RPG adventure. To stop Bowser, Mario must save the 7 Star Spirits, and to do so, he must go to different areas, do some things, then work his way through a dungeon, ultimately fighting a boss to save each spirit. The game has a chapter structure, which gives it a nice flow. Your first time around, a chapter will most likely take you somewhere from 2 to 4 hours, so they're a bit too long to be done in a single sitting, but knocking a chapter out in 2 sittings is pretty common. Each chapter has a different theme, which are all pretty typical for Mario: general grass, desert, haunted, forest, ice. The most unique areas are the toy box and the flower area, but even then, that just feels like a less bland grass area. Overall though, it's a nice structure, but not anything new, even for Mario RPGs. Legend of the 7 Stars has a very similar structure. It even has you hunting down 7 stars. Now the context is different in both of these games, and it's so much more interesting in RPG. In RPG, Bowser isn't the villain, and you actually end up teaming up with him, which was a first in Mario history. Here it just feels like a typical 3D Mario story, but as an RPG. Bowser kidnapped Peach, collect the MacGuffins to stop him, and save Peach. Let's discuss that title. Paper Mario. What about this is paper? Look at the Origami King, that looks like a Paper Mario. The whole world is made out of craft supplies and it has an art style unique to its series. But this, don't get me wrong, this is a great looking N64 game, but it doesn't scream paper to me. The sprites being 2D, yeah, but without even just a white outline, they don't look like paper. Nothing creative is done with the concept of Paper Mario, and as shitty as later games like Sticker Star and Color Splash look, at least they try to do something with the Paper Mario theme. This does not feel like Paper Mario, this feels like a Mario RPG sequel with a stylized art style. Again, it looks good, but not Paper Mario.
Well, what does make it a Paper Mario game is the turn-based combat. No, that just makes it an RPG.
Yeah, this is an RPG, and I like Mario RPGs, but man, this battle system is fine, but that's really as far as it goes. It's your typical Mario RPG system. You can deal extra damage and decrease oncoming damage with action commands, hitting A at the right time, flicking the left stick, whatever. Yeah, this is cool, but nothing new. Now, the whole stick flicking is, of course, new, but the whole concept of action commands wasn't new here, and not super exciting now. I play so many RPGs with them to where, yeah, this has those too. You also have flower points, which allow you to do some special moves and add in some strategy. Speaking of strategy, I do like the strategy loop here. All enemies are lined up, but if you use your hammer, unless you use a special move that damages all enemies, you can only hit the front enemy. Now, the jump attack may do less damage, but you can also hit any enemy, so there's a nice layer of strategy I like. Also, this is a more classic RPG, so when you defeat an enemy, you get experience points for it, called star points here. How many are dropped depends on the enemy type, but no matter what, it takes 100 star points to level up, meaning throughout the whole game, it takes roughly the same amount of time to level up, which is very convenient. And each time you level up, you can choose whether to increase your health, flower points, or badge points.
Oh yeah, I should probably talk about badges.
Badges are another thing from this game that people adore, and you can count me as people. As you go through the game, you'll find a ton of badges that you can equip. They'll give you different attacks or stat boosts, and each badge takes up a certain amount of badge points to wear. So the more badge points you have, the more badges you can use. Picking between these three each time you level up isn't easy, and it really depends on your playstyle and just where you are in general. I did find myself leaning more so towards health and flower points. Maybe that's why I sucked at this game. I didn't play it that strategically, but who can blame me? This was my first rodeo. I still really like the mechanic and think it's great. And while we're on the topic of great mechanics that improve the battling system, let's talk about the companions, a big controversy with modern Paper Mario. At various points throughout the game, you meet characters who join you throughout your adventure. They all have special abilities both in and out of battle, so let's go over them. Goombario is the first and is fucking useless. His ability is telling you information. In battle, he has Tattle, which will tell you information on enemies, including their HP, which is useful enough, but not enough for me to use him after I got the second companion, Kooper. Now, this is a companion, man. You can jump on his shell to hit things that are just too far away. And his attacks are great too. His base special attack lets him hit all the enemies on the ground. I found myself using Kooper a lot. Then you have Bombette, who is okay. She can blow open cracked walls and has an exploding attack, but I found myself really only using her outside of battles. Then there's Parakarry, a Para-Koopa mailman. He can lift you across small gaps you can't jump across and is great for tackling airborne enemies in battles. He's the other companion I used a lot. He has a special move where he'll slam into an enemy with a shell, whether they're airborne or not. Lady Bo is a boo who can turn Mario invisible to avoid being seen by enemies and even hit by enemies in battles, which makes her especially useful in more difficult boss fights. Watt can light up dark areas, and that's kind of it. Her attacks are fine, but she wasn't a go-to. Sushi lets you traverse water, which is super useful, and has a special water attack that is really helpful for fire-based enemies. And Lackluster, who can help Mario fly over spikes, thorns, and other various hazards. He can throw Spinies in battles and is useful enough, just not necessarily a go-to. Now, above all else, these characters have actual depth, which is awesome. They'll come from interesting places and have unique dialogue for specific situations, which is a ton of fun. And they're great in battle and add a ton of strategy. You can also upgrade them with special orbs you find across the world, and they learn more moves when you upgrade them, making them more powerful. Overall, they're a great addition. You can change which companion you have at any time with the right C button, and you'll be doing so a lot because they're all really useful in specific situations. Except you, Goombario. Overall, the battle system is fine, not super fun, but hey, it's at least worth it to see all these cool enemy types. Ice piranhas, sunglasses wearing Koopas, King Koopa clansmen, tribal shy guy. Wait, what the fuck?
Oh my god. Don't tell me I'm the only one who sees this. A white-robed Magic Koopa with a pointy head in a Mario game? I get that wasn't a thing in Japan, but you'd think when the game was localized by Nintendo of America, they would see that and change that. They could have changed the road color. They could have made it red. They could have made it black. They could have made it purple. I mean, there are multicolored Magic Koopas throughout the whole game. Yet they left the white one in? But also get this. Remember how Goombario will tell you information about enemies? Well, his description for this is that he is one of the magicians in the Koopa clan. I'm just at a loss for words. I don't even know what to say. I mean, at least you beat them up, but I just don't get it.
We get it, just move on.
The bosses are all pretty neat. Some are cool takes on pre-existing Mario enemies, others are new creations entirely, but they're all pretty fun to fight. When you beat each boss, you free that area's star spirit, and each star spirit grants you power. You get a set of star meters, with each star move costing a meter or a few. You get powers like Starstorm, which rains down stars, and Smooch, which restores 20 HP. As you free more spirits, you get more powerful powers and also more star meters. They slowly rebuild during each turn in combat, but it's slow, so if you're using them, it adds another fun level of strategy.
So past the name, you've been pretty much praising the game. What are your issues with it?
Well, if you insist.
The pacing kills it for me, man. This game can feel like such a slog. There are a few sections that were so stupid that I couldn't resist busting out a guide. Even then, this game is slow. Each area took me roughly 3 hours to beat, which may not sound bad, but it's so much combat and running back and forth. Thankfully, you don't really need to grind in this game, because you run into so many fucking enemies, it's never a problem to begin with. It's not the most grueling RPG, but it can still be incredibly grueling. Also, at the end of every chapter, there's a brief interlude where you play as Peach. She's being held captive in a room, but keeps on sneaking out to learn things to help Mario, but if you get caught, you get sent back to her room and have to start all over. And the things you do in these segments aren't particularly fun. I get story-wise, it's to help Mario figure out what to do next, but man, it just felt unnecessary at many points. The writing is good, but I think I preferred Origami King's writing more. There wasn't much funny dialogue, at least to me. It was just kind of and the theming, it's not a big issue, but it's pretty generic Mario. The toy box area is thematically unique, but it also fucking sucks. It's so much backtracking in and out of the box, and the music drives me insane. And there are these Shy Guy types that can call other Shy Guys to battle.
I don't like the toy box.
When you arrive in the Ice Town, you go to speak with the mayor, who is dead. You're a prime suspect, but are sent to help figure out who else could have done it. A really awesome setup for one of the storylines here, right? So you find out that this author, who writes murder novels, is hiding out in the top of his house. Perhaps he is the killer. But no, you follow him to the mayor's house, and the mayor wakes up. The mayor knocked himself out when he was getting a gift for the author.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
The story is good, but it didn't really leave a lasting impression on me. But I haven't beaten it, so who knows, it may get better.
So let's finally beat this game.
After freeing the final Star Spirit, you go to the Star Haven, where the Star Spirit gives you the Star Beam, a power that will stop the power from the Star Rod. And from there, you go to Bowser's airship and work your way through it. This final stretch is the ultimate test. You use every companion, except for Goombario because he's fucking useless, to traverse the innards of the airship, working your way up to Peach's castle. The enemies are tough and require good strategy. You'll be saving and recovering health any chance you get, and before you reach Peach's castle, you must fight Jinger Troopa, a kid who you face multiple times during the game, but this time, he's pretty strong. But not strong enough. After defeating him, it's on to Bowser in Peach's castle. His first phase isn't that bad. I used Lady Bow to make Mario invincible so Bowser can't harm him. Lady Bow can't do any damage to Bowser, but it's worth it to keep my health up. It's a slow burn, but this phase isn't too bad. Anytime he tries to use the Star Rod, just use the Star Beam and he loses his power. After defeating him, he flees upstairs for the final battle. So follow him up there and it's time for the final confrontation, and it's a grueling one. I was at him him for 20 minutes, and this time he isn't fucking around. I once again use Lady Bow to help prevent Mario from taking damage, but even then, that's not a flawless technique. Sometimes Bowser will just jut in after Mario's turn and he'll hit Lady Bow, knocking her out for a few turns. Let's just say I burned through some Ultra Mushrooms and used Smooch a few times, but Bowser doesn't care. He will heal himself and go whenever he pleases. I will say, I can imagine how intense this must have been back in 2001, at least for a Mario game. The music, the atmosphere, this must have been the most intense Mario shit yet. This isn't for the faint of heart. Even if he doesn't use the Star Rod, his attacks are powerful, and he can easily wipe you out if you're not careful.
Oh, I'm down to 20 HP, 5 FP, and 0 f***s to give. I'm either beating this, or I'm not. Oh god. Come on. No, come on. Well, it looks like I'm not beating Paper Mario, but overall,
Wait, what are you doing?
give my final remarks. I'm done.
No, you know the deal. I'll turn you back to normal once you beat me.
Oh, I'll beat you. I'll fucking beat you! Holy shit, I am never doing that again. Paper Mario is objectively a good game. I just didn't have the greatest time with it.
There was a lot of the game I did enjoy, and I have a ton of respect for the groundwork it laid for the Paper Mario series, but I was underwhelmed and disappointed by it. It just didn't live up to the hype.
Maybe it's a me thing. Maybe I went in with too high of expectations. Maybe I need to revisit the game in a few years with a fresh lens, and maybe then I'll see what everyone else sees in this game.
The companions, the badges, the character work, it's all great, but the story and game as a whole just isn't anything special, and yet that's the important part because this is a video game.
I may have sounded pretty critical at times, but that's just how I feel. But overall, Paper Mario is just okay. Well, it is nice to have not beaten but talked about the first Paper Mario game, and now I can move on to the rest of the series, like the 1000-Year Door, which is going to be really easy with the remake coming out in a few months. Then it's on to Super Paper Mario, which I'm really excited for that one. And then after that one, it's... There's no rush.